Luke chapter 2. Jesus is born in Bethlehem. At that time, the Roman Emperor Augustus decreed that a census should be taken throughout the Roman Empire. Caesar Augustus. The Bible is talking about Caesar Augustus. Jesus was born at the time that Caesar Augustus ruled the Roman Empire. Keep that in mind. This was the first census taken when Quirinius was the governor of Syria. All returned to their ancestral towns to register for the census. So everyone had to go to their ancestral home to register for the census, okay? And because Joseph was a descendant of King David himself, he had to go to Bethlehem in Judea, David's ancient home. He traveled there from the village of Nazareth in Galilee. He took with him Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. And while they were there, the time came for her baby to be born. She gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him snugly in strips of cloth and laid him in a manger because there was no lodging available for them. Now, a little bit about the census. The Roman census, the registration, was taken to aid military conscription or tax collection. The Jews weren't required to serve in the Roman army, but they could not avoid paying taxes. Now, this is the kicker. Augustus's decree went out in God's perfect timing and according to God's perfect plan to bring his son into the world. Now, the Romans ruled the civilized world at this time, yes. By contrast, Joseph controlled very little. Against his better judgment and political convictions, he complied with the Roman order to make a long trip just to pay his taxes. His fiancée, Mary, who had to go with him, was about to give birth. The Romans maintained control by exerting military and economic power. Sounds familiar, huh? But the Romans did not recognize the limit of their power. In reality, God controls the world. God controls the world in all places at all times. He works out his will. As a result of the decree of Emperor Augustus, Jesus was born in the very town prophesied for his birth in Micah chapter 5, verse 2. Even though his parents did not live there, Joseph and Mary were both descendants of King David. The Old Testament is filled with prophecies that the Messiah would be born in David's royal line. Micah chapter 5, verse 2, "But you, O Bethlehem, Ephrath, are only a small village among all the people of Judah, yet a ruler of Israel, whose origins are in the distant past, will come from you on my behalf." Isaiah chapter 11, verse 1, "Out of the stump of David's family will grow a shoot, yes, a new branch bearing fruit from the old root." Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 15, "In those days and at that time, I will raise up a righteous descendant from King David's line, and he will do what is right and just throughout the land." Ezekiel 37, verse 24, "My servant David will be their king, and they will have only one shepherd. They will obey my regulations and be careful to keep my decrees," foreshadowing Jesus. Hosea chapter 3, verse 5, "But afterwards the people will return and devote themselves to the Lord their God and to David's descendant, their king. In the last days they will tremble in awe of the Lord and of his goodness." We just read ancient prophecy being fulfilled. How does it feel? Jesus' birth was prophesied long ago, and his birth just happened. God weaved his will throughout Old Testament history and brought it to fruition. He made it known that he was going to do this, and man, did he. Did you know that Luke is the only gospel writer to relate the events he recorded to world history? His account was addressed to predominantly Greek-speaking audience who would have been interested and familiar with the political situation. Palestine was under the rule of the Roman Empire with Caesar Augustus, the first Roman emperor, in charge. You know, the Roman rulers considered to be like gods, stood in contrast to the tiny baby in a manger who was truly God in the flesh. Now that word manger, this mention of the manger is the basis for traditional belief that Jesus was born in a stable. Stables were usually caves with stone feeding through mangers carved into rock walls. Despite popular Christmas pictures, the surroundings were dingy, dark, and dirty. Now, not everyone thought that this was the Messiah. It says here that this was not the atmosphere the Jews expected as the birthplace of the Messiah King. They thought their promised Messiah would be born in royal surroundings. We should not limit God by our expectations. He is at work whenever He is needed in our sin darkened and dirty world. Now we can see the contrast between the obedience between the religious people and Joseph and Mary. And sometimes maybe we might think, am I being obedient to God? So why aren't things going better? I mean, Mary is carrying the Son of God, and yet she is having to give birth to Jesus in a stable. And here the Jews are thinking the same exact thing. It's nasty, it's dark, it's dingy. That's no place fit for a king, especially a child. But God does not see it that way. A lot of us are just like this. We face discomfort or inconvenience and immediately think that we have misread God's will or that we have made a mistake. But watch this couple as they head toward Bethlehem. God did not soften Joseph's bumpy road, but strengthened him. God did not provide a luxurious inn for Joseph and Mary, but brought his son into the world into humble surroundings. When we do God's will, we are not guaranteed comfortable lives. However, we are promised that even our discomfort and inconvenience have meaning in God's plan. He will guide you and provide all you need. Like Joseph, live each day by faith, trusting that God is in charge. All right, guys, stay tuned for Shepherds Visit Jesus.